Dr. G, we are live. The meeting is yours.
Tonight's meeting of our regularly scheduled ECI committee meeting is called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Okay. Individuals attending tonight's meeting virtually and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being recorded. In order to meet the requirements of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board raise their hand electronically and state their name and address. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. To allow time for all those who wish to speak to the board chair for this committee may ask an individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Yes, we do. One moment. Our first is Mr. Patchell. Mr. Patchell, I'm going to unmute your mic. At that time, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the board. Go ahead, Mr. Patchell.
Yes, I'm here. Don't start my time until I give you my name and address, and then we can give me the 180 seconds. Would that be, if that would be possible, please? My name is William Patchell. I live at 404 Bonnie Lane, Lansdale, Pennsylvania. It's really Montgomery Township, and I have a few things that I'd like to comment on tonight. When is the public going to get some test results for 10 months of this experiment in the great new frontier of education and trying to bring along as many people as possible into the domain of the future? I know it's horrible. I know they hate it. I know it's very difficult. You have to stay focused. And sometimes it is possible that children that are blessed with a nice, nurturing environment have all the criteria that they need to be successful. I hope that many, many would be able to do this. Okay. What I want to know is, when do we get to see test results? I understand that it's all private and for the, the testing, but when does the public get to actually examine? Okay, we have performance at 72% for language skills. We have 51% for mathematics, so that the public can really see if there's been a degradation in the performance of the educational system. Here's another big question. I think Dr. Dietrich will be able to, and maybe Dr. Bauer. How many students have left the district for online in other venues like Connective Academies and some of the other more companies that have been doing this for a while? I noticed the hiring portal is growing. We're looking for 15 subs. I noticed there's some other things. As I said, the challenge of hiring people is very, very hard. And, education, going into education was well sought after. I kind of think this may be falling by the wayside. Gee, I can't attract anybody to this field. I'd rather just go work at a bank, work from home, have it really easy and make an equal salary. I mean, some people would like to do this. When do you think, after months of reacting to the difficult situations, it will be better to stay with the current norm for the foreseeable future? The two students which are joining us tonight, I was very impressed with their presentations, their thoughtfulness, their ideas, sound and sustainable. Apparently, they must be doing very well in a remote situation. And I can tell you, I bet about 100 kids in the class of 2021 have every idea that they want to be going on to a place that's high academic achievement, and they're able to do it. Yes, could be online. I think many institutions enjoy online, like many businesses. I don't think they'll ever open their doors again. That'll be all online by employees working from home. So that's just a rundown of some of the things. Please tell us how we're doing. Oh, but finances, please. How we doing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patchell.
Our next speaker is Mr. Devlin. Mr. Devlin, you have the floor. Please unmute your mic, state your name and address, and you may begin.
Sean Devlin, President of the North Penn Education Association. I thank you for giving me a few moments tonight. As you know, FFCRA expired December 31st, and this is putting many of our colleagues in positions having to choose between work and family. I know that the NPA, North Penn School Board, and the North Penn administration, as well as the NESPA unit, are working hard at trying to keep our schools open, trying to keep our schools safe, and doing everything that we can do for each other to keep this and our community moving forward. But because of the FFCRA expiring, we're entering into even more challenging territory. And the conversation is shifting from, the safety of our buildings, which is still paramount, obviously, but more towards the ability to keep our buildings open with the appropriate number of staff in each building. I am happy that I come to speak to you today with the position of praise and also hope. So I'll start with the praise. It has not been even 12 hours since we've brought this up to both the school board and the North Penn administration. And we already have a meeting scheduled tomorrow at 8 a.m. That should show this community, and it should show the teachers and everyone else working for the district that we are serious about how we tend to our staff, how we care for our buildings, and also the importance we have and play in the community. Hope is the other thing. And I am hopeful because I do acknowledge that when we put our heads together, we are some of the most intelligent people on the planet, I think, but at least in the realm of North Penn. So good things happen when Dr. Dietrich, Dr. Bauer, Dr. Kim, the school board, my leadership team, Dr. Santoro, and the list goes on. Good things happen when we sit down and talk. So I'm hopeful that these talks starting tomorrow morning are going to net some results that we can possibly or potentially use to help out people starting Monday. Again, it is our goal to keep the buildings open. Kids learn best that way, and I think many of us are anticipating being back in front of our kids, full classrooms, hopefully someday soon. But I just wanted to say thank you, and just kind of give another shout out to North Penn and our ability to work together for the students, the teachers, and also the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devlin.
There are no other public comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to the first item on the agenda, which is the school calendar update.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. G. I come to the committee this evening proud and appreciative of two individuals on this panel in particular. But if you recall, in November, like we usually do, we brought the school calendar forward, and it was ready to move to action for the November meeting. And I think it was Mr. Fusco said, you know what, can we pause for a second? And we spend so much time talking about being more equitable and culturally proficient and acknowledging all members and stakeholders in our community. Could we take a look at maybe acknowledging some additional holidays not on the Judeo-Christian calendar? And after speaking with Mrs. Stoll and Dr. G, I asked that we postpone bringing the calendar forward in November, and could you please allow us to do some research here and work together with some members of our community. So Dr. Dietrich and I, prior to the December ECI meeting, it was like moments before, we ended that meeting and we hopped into the ECI meeting, and I said I thought we would have a calendar ready for the committee in January. And Ifrad and Aditya, who represent our Hindu and Muslim community in North Penn and our North Penn High School student representatives, got Dr. Dietrich, Ms. Liberaski, and I together with religious leaders in our community. And we talked about, we would really like to recognize the two religions and cultures in our community. And we talked to them about which holidays would be best to recognize. And everyone around the table recognized that it's impossible to celebrate every holiday, but to maybe have one would be a really, really nice gesture. So Aditya right away said he thought that it would be, in the Hindu culture, it would be Diwali. He said that is the most important holiday in my family and among my friends and community members, and I'm certain, but I'll check. And then Ifrad pointed to Eid al-Fitr as kind of the culminating day of Eid and the fasting in the Muslim culture. So I am pleased to share with you that the calendar has been revised. And if you are to look at the attachment this evening, we typically have the first Monday and Tuesday around Election Day in November off for student conferences. So we made an adjustment there, and students will have off on Tuesday and Thursday, because Thursday, here comes the calendar. So if Mrs. Fakish, if you're able to zoom in just a little bit to November. So typically that Monday, the last version of this calendar that you saw, we had Monday, November 1st and Tuesday, November 2nd as days that students were off. We have shifted the Monday to November 4th, which is Diwali. And then additionally, over in May 3rd, is Eid al-Fitr, and again, a culminating day from Eid, where they celebrate months of fasting and sacrifice. And so we added that to the calendar. It did push the school calendar a bit, just one day, but we're very proud and gracious to the members of the community. Of course, Dr. Dietrich and I, our student representatives, and then we also worked with NPEA in making some revisions here. So everybody, I think all around, kudos to this committee for challenging us and asking us to dig a bit deeper. And then thank you to everyone who had a part in this. So Dr. G, I would just recommend to this committee that we move this calendar as opposed to the one that I shared with you in November to the board meeting for action.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bauer, for that explanation. And so can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments?
I'm just glad that that you, Dr. Bauer, and Ifrad and Iditra and all the stakeholders who had a part in this got this done. As many conversations as I've had over the past few years about cultural proficiency and how it relates to the district, when I'm actually talking to people in the communities that I serve, this is something that comes up often. It's something that can be easily overlooked by those of us that can appreciate our, religious holidays being observed. But I think that while this may seem like a small gesture, it's really something will be much more important and well received by members of this community. So I thank you for your time and effort. I'm sure that your time in your conversations and to work toward this will be well spent. So thank you.
I do have one. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Mathane.
Oh, just very briefly, I'll echo Mr. Fusco's comments. Too often we do things just because it's the way they've been done, and this community deserves a good fresh look at things like this for all of our students. And I'm just very happy to be part of this committee that was able to recognize that. And of course, thanks again to our student representatives for facilitating the conversations in our community that need to happen much more often these days. So thank you, gentlemen.
I'll make a comment, I'll ask a quick question. My comment really just that our student representatives should be really proud because you've been part of seeing how an idea can come from just it being an idea to you putting it in action and actually doing something about it, and then coming to being part of a governing body who will vote and move it forward, and it will be, right? And that's a true, that's power. And that is, you have been part of changing something that will impact many of your peers. And so you should be really proud of that, because I will state to anyone who may be watching that you two did some of the legwork of that, reaching out to the community, not just kind of going by what you thought, but also looking to leaders within your communities to find out more. And so we are just very proud that we are, as North Penn, developing students and young minds to the point that you're doing those things. So just really proud of that. I had asked, I think around the time that Mr. Fusco brought this up, if we could have a follow-up with Melissa and our food services, because oftentimes accompanied with holidays are things such as fasting and other things like, do we have more vegans or vegetarians or that, and are we responding in those ways? And so I think that would be a good follow-up in the spring to begin to think about what that might look like. I know we have sometimes student focus groups around nutrition. Often those are around like, do you like the macaroni and cheese? And I think we need to go a lot deeper. Mr. McDane's laughing because he knows those focus groups I'm talking about, right? I think we need to go deeper than that, because there are, there's food shaming that happens in cafeterias, especially sometimes at the elementary level, the students that, bring things that don't look the same. And so we want to open those doors a little bit more, and this is, I think, an opportunity also to kind of shift there. So I would ask the administration, to just follow up on that in the spring as we begin to shift ourselves out of complete reactionary towards the pandemic mode, hopefully. I'd love to hear more about that from Melissa. I know she's super busy right now, but would like to hear more about that. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, Dr. G, I just want to say this is my first meeting on this committee, and I'm so excited to be here when this important piece of legislation is about to be passed. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis Campbell. And so all in favor? All right, motion passes. And we will move on to informational items. We have a summer program update.
Yes, Dr. G, I am pleased to present to you this evening Ms. Nina Fenstermaker. She is one of our curriculum supervisors, and she worked very hard with a number of people to create a program last summer that she gave everyone, I believe, on this committee a preview of. I'm going to say May, perhaps in May. And she had asked if she could come back to the committee and just share kind of a summary of how it went and changes for next summer. And in September, October, and November, we had a lot going on. Not that we don't now, but we thought January would be an appropriate time as we start to talk about and plan things for the summer. So with that, I will introduce Ms. Fenstermaker. Nina, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm excited to share with you our review of the summer program from 2020, as well as what we plan to do in 2021. There is a PowerPoint presentation with informational items on the slides. Will they be showing while I'm speaking? Okay, there we go. All right, and we can advance to the next slide. Thank you for that. All right, so Dr. Bauer is correct. I did come and give a preview of what we were going to do for 2020, probably late May, you know, as things were moving and shifting very fast in that spring time. And we were able to advertise our summer enrichment program. We did it all virtually. We were able to advertise that on the North Penn School District website. And we also had flyers sent home through the teachers to their students to advertise the program. And we had a registration link up on the website for parents to register their children if they were interested in participating in our summer enrichment program. And we had close to 1,200 students register for the program, which in my eyes was a huge success. We were hoping for a couple hundred, and we had over 1,000. So our community really responded to this opportunity, and we were able to run the program for 6 weeks. We hired 21 North Penn School District teachers, and they all got together and they designed choice boards, which we had shared with you that we were going to do. And they were really low tech options because we're really hearing from our community that, you know, that they really wanted the students to get off the computer as much as possible. So we tried to engage the students in a lot of hands-on activities, writing letters and getting outside and getting active. We had special area teachers put a lot of input onto those choice boards so that they were cross-curricular and you just had a lot of variety and choice for kids. So all the choice boards K through 6 were aligned to a central theme, and we did that so that we could encourage whole family participation. So if there was, you know, a 2nd grader and a 5th grader, they were both working on activities that were maybe aligned to, you know, backyard barbecue kind of theme. They also, all students had access to our new online adaptive learning platform that was called Freckle. And we had a lot of utilization of Freckle, and we put out a parent survey to see what the students liked most about our program, and Freckle was coming up repeatedly. So the students were really engaged in that online platform, and they were excited to use it. Teachers also engage students through open office hours, where they would just hold, you know, open office hours to help them through any activity that they needed help with, such as a writing assignment. They had pre-recorded read-alouds that they could post weekly and put out for students to listen to. And then some of our teachers were getting really creative and offering book clubs that the students really got into towards the end. You can scroll to the next one. Thank you. So to motivate our students to participate in the learning choice boards and put in minutes on Freckle, we put out a way for them to earn raffle tickets. And so for every certain number of activities that they completed, they would earn a raffle ticket. And the Educational Foundation, they were able to donate over $700 to us to put together prize baskets. And we were able to award 22 student winners with cute little prize baskets that had a bunch of school supplies in them. There was face masks in them. We gave out a lot of North Penn Strong gear, which the students just loved. And you can see some pictures on this slide of 2 of our winners that came and picked up their prize baskets. Rita's Water Ice also donated vouchers for students to get free water ice for participating in the program. So we had a lot of success with that. We wanted to make sure that we put out an educational offering for our parents. So we partnered with Patan, and they offered a parent literacy night. Because I didn't do the Zoom, I couldn't go back and find out how many parents actually attended the Zoom that night for our parent literacy night, but I can tell you that over 1,200 parents did register for the event. I don't think all 1,200 came, but we did get a lot of interest in the parent literacy night, so it was successful overall. So that's just a review of what 2020 looked like, and going into 2021 with the success of that program that was new and really adjusted and modified to the pandemic and what we were living in that moment. We would like to repeat that. We would like to repeat the summer enrichment virtual program for all students, because it was an opportunity for any student K through 6 to attend. And a lot of the parent feedback that we got in our survey was just around the flexibility of it, that it was optional, that it kept students engaged in a consistent structure for learning. And you know, parents were excited about that, so we're going to offer that again. Hopefully in 2021, our goal and our hope is that we'll be able to also run our typical summer program, which was an in-person program, and it's really designed and targeted to students who need remedial support that are not meeting benchmark or needing additional supports in reading and math. And so we hope to offer that in person this summer. And what we also hope to do is expand the program. So it's typically, our in-person program is typically for grades K through 2, and we want to look to open this up to invite third graders as well, given that they were second graders last year and had COVID hit their year in March and could really benefit from a in-person summer program this year. We'd also like to extend the length of the program. Typically, we usually only run it over the months or over the weeks in July. So we're looking to hopefully get at least 20 days into the program, where we typically only get about 12 to 15 days in our program. We're hoping to reach almost 20 days to really get some effective instruction going over the summer. And then we like to increase our focus on math instruction as well as reading. And that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mrs. Giamarco. It certainly sounds like it was a really well-run program, so we appreciate your leadership in that area. I would just ask so there was no, I don't believe that you mentioned, but there wasn't a cost to the program. So this was any student that wanted to register, or there was a cost?
Correct. There was no cost to our students for the program.
And is that typical any year, or we were using CARES funding?
No, that's typical every year. Every year the district does fund a summer program, and we were just able to reallocate those funds to the virtual summer program.
Okay. I know the typical in-person one typically wouldn't have a cost, but I was wondering if, yeah, so thank you.
Yep. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our program coordinator, Mrs. Jessica Stevenson. She was a huge and integral role in everything that we did, and really took a lead on a lot of the things and a lot of the successes of this program. So I would be remiss in not mentioning her and all of the teachers that we had running this program, because once they got started, they didn't stop. They worked really hard, and I'm just so proud of everyone who was a part of it.
Any questions from the committee? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have Dr. Waters and Ms. Giamarco, who are going to share with us just updates. And I know this committee is very interested in our work surrounding cultural proficiency and equity. We've done a significant amount of professional development, and there's some exciting news on the horizon as well. So they're going to give you an update on some of our work here since our last update. I think it was, I'm going to say October, that the two of them came. So Dr. Waters, Ms. Giamarco, take it away.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Hope you all had a nice break and that you're ready to jump into January. So like Dr. Bauer shared, Jackie and I are going to just give you a quick update. And Mary, we also have a few slides. If you don't mind putting those up, that would be great. You can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we just left the objective up here just so, it just kind of stays at the forefront of everybody's mind. But what we really want to focus on tonight is that last piece where we talk about the importance of professional and personal growth around cultural proficiency and equity. So that's kind of what we're going to talk to you about. We're going to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing with the teachers and staff, but also with the administrators. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so again, just a quick reminder of the goals that we've been working on. We really are working hard at goal 1, and that's really going to be the focus of what we talked to you about tonight. And that's just increasing the knowledge of our staff and professionally developing everybody around this work. So I'm just going to leave it there because you can read the other 3. But again, we're really going to be focusing on goal 1. Next slide. Thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jackie now. She's going to talk to you a little bit about the framework, where we've been, and then where we're going. And then I'm going to come back on and tell you a little bit about what we've been doing with administration.
Thank you, Dr. Waters. And Mary, if you don't mind, if you could click on that link that's on the slide. It's in green. Isn't that coming through?
Let me try a different way.
Okay, it's okay. I can just talk about it. We reviewed that the last time we were here. It's the North Penn Framework for Culturally Responsive Instruction. And so I just wanted to show you, it's a live document, and we're using that to really guide the professional development this year. And so if you remember, we talked about, we started our PD this year, really introducing all of our goals. And we had a video from the board that they produced, really highlighting the importance of this work this year. And we're continuing to expand and add links and resources for teachers as we progress through the professional development this year. And really getting feedback from those sessions and looking at it very carefully to plan our future sessions, because that's really important. We need to really understand where our staff is and where you know, our strengths are and where we need to kind of focus more energy. So we've been really strategic about doing that each session. And so the first PD session really focused on that overview, and then also high expectations. And then the session in December focused on racial awareness and anti-racism. And really the feedback overwhelmingly has been extremely positive. Teachers are loving the opportunity to engage in these conversations and really talk about how this impacts students and what it means for instruction in our classrooms, both traditionally and in a hybrid setting and virtually, as we know that can be a struggle. So, you know, we're continuing some of that work moving forward. And Mary, if you can just go to the next slide, because I can kind of highlight some of the things and then we can just show the framework at the end. It's not a big deal. Thank you. Moving forward, so this is a little bit about where we're going. Our elementary and secondary librarians are receiving training about conducting an analysis of the collections in the libraries to further diversify them and really see where our needs are and plan accordingly to make sure all of our buildings, the collections in the buildings are it's equitable, and really the collections are diversified to meet the needs of our students and reflect our population in North Penn. Our middle schools upcoming, our next in-service day is Friday. It's a half-day early dismissal, and the middle schools will be collaborating with Dr. Moore-Williams to really continue the work that they did in the December in-service day. So this is really a follow-up and an extension on what they did previously. And the high school is working in collaboration with Dr. Eddie Fergus to follow up on work that they had started last year that and really connect it to the work that we've been doing so far this year and really support their building goals. Our secondary English teachers will be working in collaboration with Dr. Cornelius Minor to really support the implementation of the new novels that they have selected and really talk about how that and really selecting those novels too and what that means for instruction in their particular department. And that's pretty much for our next in-service day. And then from there, based on that feedback, well, again, we're moving through the North Penn Framework for Culturally Responsive Instruction. So we will continue to expand on the resources to support the work that's happening in schools. And I think Dr. Waters is going to talk a little bit about the work that the administration has been doing as well.
Yeah, thank you. So with the administration, I just have to say, I've just been really pleased this year. I feel like we've made a lot of strides this year around this work, not just for teachers and staff, but for administration as well. It's really important that we're all in, and I really feel that that's kind of where we are. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the things that we've been doing on that level. And just starting with the first one, we have a lot of involvement from administration on our executive committee. And I don't know if Dr. Wanda Lewis Campbell was just a visitor at the last meeting, but I think she wants to become a permanent member because I know she really enjoyed the meeting and learned a lot. And so I think she's now a member of that as well. But we definitely have a lot of representation there from administration. And then the 4 goals that we have, administrators are the people who co-chair those subcommittees. And so really involved on that level. We've also this year, we've been participating at Delaware Valley Coalition of Equity and Excellence down at University of Pennsylvania. We used to go years ago in our school district, and we kind of jumped back in a couple of years ago. And this year in particular, we've definitely seen an increase in our participation. We just recently, there was a workshop, I think it was about a week or 2 ago, and we probably had, I would say, about 8 administrators attend. And some of these sessions are ongoing. So you might have to go in November, maybe you come back again in December. And, we have a calendar that Maureen King kind of helps facilitate getting that taken care of, and just to look at how many people registered and want to continue to go back and go to more, workshops has been really nice to see. Courageous Conversations is another one that a lot of administrators have been taking advantage of. So when we kind of get this information, we share it out, and immediately people start emailing like, I just signed up. And so we've really been seeing, an interest in not just growing professionally, but also growing personally. At one of our meetings in admin, Dr. Bauer kind of asked people, what are you doing to kind of, learn and grow? And there were so many resources shared. I know Jackie talked about a lot of the resources that we're compiling for teachers, but we also at an admin meeting spent a lot of time talking about podcasts and, books that people are reading. We had some money in our budget. And so I was able to purchase, I have it right here, was able to purchase How to Be, you probably can't see it with my background. I'm really not awake. But How to Be an Anti-Racist by Dr. Kendi. We were able to purchase that for not just our administrators, but also for our cadre members. And those are the teachers who have been really vested in their work with Dr. Barbara Moore Williams over the last few years. And they've been helping to facilitate a lot of the PD sessions that Jackie spoke of. So again, just our ongoing collaboration with our consultants. Some of our administrators have also been really involved in presenting to parents. We had one of our PI meetings. We have one next week, so it would have been in November. A couple of our administrators came and did a presentation on disproportionality. Parents asked wonderful questions, very thought-provoking questions. And next week, we're going to be talking to them a little bit about our professional learning opportunities that we've been doing in our school district. And so Dr. Barbara Moore Williams will be joining, and Jackie Giamarco, our PD guru, she'll be on as well, and to help facilitate those conversations. We also have been doing a book study, as you know, from our time with you in October, and our We Can't Teach What We Don't Know small group discussions went really well. A lot of administrators stepped up to lead small groups. And this time, we're right now reading Not Light But Fire, and the author is actually coming to our admin meeting on January 27th. So we're really looking forward to that. Not only is he going to come and talk to admin, he's also going to be coming back to work with our social studies department to really help them have those critical conversations that oftentimes happen in social studies. So it's not just going to be focused there, but we're going to start there and hopefully expand. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on is the PD that many administrators have kind of stepped up and have been leading for other departments. Up at the high school, for example, they've been putting some things together, some of the assistant principals there. Some of the people in administration have worked with security this year, our assistants. And so again, just kind of like I started, I just want to end with, we've really seen an increase in just people wanting to learn and grow around this work. I feel like we are committed to this work, our administration team, and you know, it starts with our leadership. And so, you know, thank you to, you know, Dr. Dietrich and Dr. Bauer and the school board for just always being so willing and open to, you know, letting us bring these consultants in to help further our knowledge around cultural proficiency and equity. And I just also want to mention about the calendar. Thank you, students, for advocating for that. I used to work at Hatfield, and I know the students at Hatfield are just, it makes me just feel good knowing that those holidays are always so important and they would always talk about them. And now they'll actually know that, you know, we acknowledge and recognize the importance just like you do. So just wanted to add that. So that's all we have. That's our quick update for you. If you have any questions for either of us, let us know.
Wow. So it's interesting that you said that's all we have, Dr. Waters. You know, I think several of us who are, well, really all of the board members who are sitting here, Mr. McBain and myself, and Mr. Fusco before myself and Mr. McBain. But I remember one of the early on meetings when my only goal was to get us to rejoin DVCEE. Like, could we just get that done? And that vote actually fell short initially, and we just kept pressing and saying, this is important, this is important. And it's just so enlightening to see the commitment for administrators and teachers around the learning and the amount that you're doing. Certainly I could ask plenty of questions about everything that you said because it's interesting, but overall, I would just like to commend you, your leadership, Mr. and Ms. Giamarco. I know you've done a lot around for the professional development piece. And I am interested in you resharing the framework with all of us because Dr. Lewis Campbell is new to the committee, so I'd like her to have that as well. And she is a member of the executive committee, so she'll be joining everyone. But just really great work. I am interested in hearing more this year about what's happening at the middle school and high school. With Dr. Eddie Fergus, because I feel like we haven't got to hear as much about that. So maybe in the spring we could hear more about what's happening there specifically around disproportionality and discipline and more representation in higher level classes. I mean, we obviously know about the collapsing of levels, but I would be interested in hearing more about that in our update in the spring.
All right, thank you. We'll make sure we have that for you. Thank you.
Other comments from the board or committee?
I just wanted to add that I was so impressed when I attended that administrators meeting, just to see the passion that they spoke with on what they wanted to do, what they saw for the future coming down the pike, even how teachers were just so honest and open and talking about holding each other accountable and not afraid to have those courageous conversations with each other, and just to hear and see. I could feel their passion even through the Zoom video. And I was just so happy that Dr. Waters invited me to attend, and Ms. Giamarco, she played an important role as well. And what it shows is that we have some real committed people to doing this work. They're not doing it just because someone told them to do it, but they're doing it because they want to be better. And it was evident at that meeting and even the subsequent meetings that I will be attending as well. So I left there excited. I left there on a high thinking, wow, don't forget, my children came through this district and I've never seen this before. And to see it now is remarkable. And it's just so great to know that this is the time and the climate that we're living in which teachers want to do more to be inclusive, to be equitable, to talk about what they don't know and to learn about it so that they can put that into the classroom and make their students even better. So thank you all so very much. And thank you for even inviting me. I will be on your other meetings as well in attendance.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
And oh, I did want to say too, the parents, there were two parents at the meeting from pie. I had to learn what that was. But those parents were so sharp and they were so on point, and they were in sync with what the administrators were talking about and what they're talking about with their parent groups. So it's just so good to see everybody working in unison together to do what we need to do to make this district the best that we can. Thank you.
Well, on that note, thank you, Dr. Waters and Ms. Giamarco. And we appreciate everything that you do, and I'm privileged to work with you, so thank you. And the last item that we have this evening, or informational item prior to the student update, is simply just a teaser that Mr. Fusco and Dr. Dietrich and I have been collaborating for now, I guess, a year and a half on policies. And we've been working our way through a comprehensive policy review. It is a laborious task with Ms. King's support, of course. And we have been working for months now on an equity policy in collaboration with PSBA. And we have a large group of stakeholders involved in that process. Many of the same people that Dr. Waters mentioned from our executive committee, and some of the same parents that Dr. Lewis Campbell just mentioned as well. But on Tuesday evening, typically at a policy committee meeting, we present 8, 10, 12 policies. We're presenting one on Tuesday night at 5 o'clock, and it is the equity policy. And we are going to have the members of the group that were involved in helping us to prepare that policy present in a presentation format, kind of break down the policy and explain it in a slide presentation. So I know that this committee, as I said prior to the last presentation, has been so supportive of our work with cultural proficiency and equity. Just wanted to invite you to be an audience member, or to watch at some point our update. We're going to work with the policy committee first, and then I'm hopeful maybe we can move it to a work session for the full board. But Dr. Dietrich and I, with a group of stakeholders, will present that on Tuesday evening. And Mr. Fusco is the chair of that committee. So that was just an update. Tuesday night, sneak preview, 5 o'clock. Hope to see you there. We're not selling tickets. All are welcome.
It's worth noting that this equity policy, the Pennsylvania School Board Association, does not think that many districts are ready to try to implement something this comprehensive. And you'll see, if you haven't already had a chance to look at it, to my fellow board members, just how comprehensive this is, because many districts haven't started to do the groundwork that we started 3 years ago, dating back to the start of this cultural proficiency plan. So the work that we're discussing here, when we talk about the professional development that we've seen, it's so important. I wanted to say that, we recognize that everybody, teachers, administrators, staff, nurses, support staff, everybody's been asked an awful lot this year because of COVID. And I'm sure there are some folks that probably think that some of this PD work might have been better pushed off till, things started to resemble some form of normalcy. But, what this pandemic has shown us is that, our society is incredibly inequitable, from healthcare to food security, education. This cultural proficiency work that we're doing, it really needs to permeate all decision making, and that's really what this is. That's what you're doing, Dr. Waters, Ms. Giamarco, Dr. Bauer, when we are taking all of these practices, all of these things that we do at North Penn, and we start to look at it through that equity lens. So, I wanted to just take a moment and applaud the work that has been done to bring a professional focus to these issues that are going to make North Penn a more equitable place for all students to learn and grow. We're not there yet, but we are moving, and it is noteworthy when you look around just where we're at compared to neighboring districts. It is impressive. So thank you for that work. It is so important.
Our pleasure, and thank you for that as well. So our last item under informational items is just a student update from Aditya and Ifrad. So you typically both speak, I believe. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Ifrad.
Yeah, we don't have much for this update. However, there are a couple of things that have happened in the high school with volunteering and service, especially with the National Honor Society. So typically, during the end of the calendar year, the National Honor Society does a fundraiser, And normally we do Yum Yum Donuts, where we sell Yum Yum Donuts to raise money. However, contact was limited during these times. So we had to contact another company and sell popcorn, which actually worked out pretty well. And then, I think we raised over $3,000. So it was a success for the organization. And then I think Aditya has other stuff to say.
Yeah, just going off of what Efrod said, I think around November, we got in contact through Dr. Bauer with the North Penn Educational Foundation. And we received a grant from them to help us fund the Giving Tree service kits. So this allowed students to do volunteering at home and didn't need to go to places outside, expose themselves to COVID or anything like that. So they could, safely do volunteering at home, still get service hours, still contribute to the community. And we distributed like around 120, 140 service kits. So we were really proud of that.
Great, thank you both so much. And seems quite appropriate that your student update was focused on service in the month that we honored Dr. Martin Luther King. So thank you for that. And thank you for your commitment to the community. So Dr. G, I believe that's all we have for informational items for this evening.
Okay. All right. So, sorry, give me a second. We need to get back. Do we have any other, we have no other business?
Just one small thing.
Oh, sure.
It was kind of brought to my attention that I'm looking at the website. It's a little confusing with the calendar. There's still the 2020 dates, and then you have to scroll down to see the new calendar. I think it would probably be easier for people to read the calendar if we got rid of the old meeting schedule, because you might not know you have to scroll down to see it, and we don't want to, have people.
You're talking about the school board meetings.
The school board meetings, yes.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
No problem.
Yes.
Okay. Any other items from the committee? Okay, and summary of items that we're moving forward. Really just the calendar would be moving forward, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Our next ECI meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 2nd at 6 p.m. And I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you to our presenters who joined us this evening. We appreciate your time in the evening.
Thanks, everyone.